A hunter fires his shotgun. One goose falls from the sky. Its mate survives. Every instinct in that surviving goose's body is screaming at it to fly, to join the panicked flocks scattering in every direction, to save itself. Instead, it turns around. It flies straight back toward the gunfire, toward the one place every surviving animal on Earth is wired to avoid, and it lands right beside its dying mate. Researchers who study geese have documented cases where a goose shot down by a hunter will have its partner circle back, ignoring the sound of gunfire, to return and die alongside its mate. Not because it doesn't understand the danger, because staying alive without its mate isn't a life it's willing to choose. Today, we're going inside one of the most extreme loyalty bonds in the entire animal kingdom, and what happens to a goose whose mate is injured, dying, or gone. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a goose flying overhead the same way again. To understand why a goose would do something this extreme, you first have to understand how deep this bond actually runs. Geese are among the most loyal monogamous birds on the planet. When geese find a mate, the bond typically lasts for life, sometimes 10 to 25 years. Bioexpedition, not a season, not a migration, a lifetime. And this isn't just about staying near each other. Paired geese show mutual preening, close proximity, and behaviors researchers describe as triumph ceremonies, signs of a powerful, ongoing connection. PETA, they coordinate, they defend each other. Studies show that geese with strong long-term pair bonds actually produce more offspring than those without. Their bond directly increases their chances of survival. Robin McClary. So this loyalty isn't just emotional, it's evolutionary. But here's where the story becomes something far more extreme than simple partnership. Because this bond doesn't just hold during good times, it holds during the worst moments imaginable. Every autumn, geese face one of the most demanding journeys in the animal kingdom. Migration. Thousands of miles flown in tight formation, racing against dropping temperatures and disappearing food. There is no room for weakness on a journey like this. And yet, if a goose's mate becomes sick or injured, that goose will often refuse to leave its partner's side, even if winter is closing in and the rest of the flock is already flying south without them. My WordPress. Think about what that decision actually means. Staying behind isn't a small risk. It can mean facing brutal cold alone. It can mean running out of food as the season turns hostile. It can mean becoming far more vulnerable to predators without the safety of the larger flock. Geese will stand by an injured or sick mate, putting themselves directly at risk rather than abandon them. PETA, the flock moves on. The sky empties, and one goose remains. Not because it's trapped, not because it doesn't know how to fly, but because leaving was never really an option it was willing to take. This isn't folklore. This isn't exaggeration. One of the most respected animal behaviorists in history spent his life studying exactly this. Nobel Prize-winning scientist Konrad Lorenz devoted decades of his career to studying geese, and what he documented changed how scientists understood animal emotion entirely. Lorenz described watching a goose named Ado after Ado's mate died. Lorenz observed that Ado would creep along after him, his body hunched in what looked exactly like sadness, keeping his distance, remaining isolated for the rest of the year. Not days, not weeks, an entire year of visible, sustained grief. In all his years of observation, Lorenz noted that goose pairs almost never separate once bonded, and when they do lose a partner, they respond in ways he described as remarkably close to human grief. This wasn't a scientist projecting human emotion onto an animal for a good story. This was one of the most rigorous animal behaviorists in history, watching a bird and struggling to describe what he saw as anything other than heartbreak. Here's what makes this story even more devastating. Loyalty like this comes with a real cost. Grief-stricken geese become noticeably more vulnerable. Researchers have observed them flying into power lines or falling prey to predators, seemingly because their alertness drops so sharply after losing a mate. An animal that spent its entire life being sharp, alert, and cautious suddenly stops paying attention to the dangers around it. Geese who lose a mate often go through a visible mourning period, eating less, avoiding the flock, and withdrawing socially for extended periods of time. Bioexpedition. Some eventually find a new partner, but researchers have noted something remarkable. The bond formed with a second mate is often measurably weaker than the one that came before. Bioexpedition, as if some part of that first, decades-long bond can never fully be replaced. Others never move on at all. Some geese spend the remainder of their lives as widows or widowers, refusing to ever partner again. My WordPress, a creature with a brain a fraction the size of ours, choosing, in its own way, to remain loyal to a memory. If this kind of loyalty in the animal kingdom is hitting you as hard as it hit me, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps stories like this reach more people. This devotion doesn't just show up in mourning, it shows up in the moment danger actually arrives. Geese fiercely protect their mates and will put themselves directly in harm's way to defend their partner from a threat. Bioexpedition. A goose weighs at most around 15 pounds. Many of the predators threatening a goose or its mate are significantly larger, faster, and better armed with teeth and claws. And still, the male goose remains close, acting as a vigilant protector, using his size and aggression to try to deter threats far more dangerous than himself. Love Canada Geese. This isn't blind bravery. It's a calculated risk this animal is willing to take every single time without hesitation. If one member of a pair is injured, its mate will stay down with them, guarding the injured goose until it either recovers or dies. GNA. Not for 1 hour, not for 1 day, for however long it takes, even if that means becoming a target itself, even if that means the two of them never leave that spot again. So why would evolution build an instinct this extreme, this seemingly self-destructive, into a bird? The answer lies in what a lifelong bond actually provides. Paired geese benefit from years of shared experience, learning together which sites hold the best food, which areas hide the most danger, and how to coordinate defense and parenting with practiced precision. Robin McClary. A new partner means starting over, relearning trust, relearning coordination, losing years of hard-earned advantage. So the loyalty isn't just emotional sentiment. It's a survival strategy refined over millions of years, one that occasionally asks an individual goose to risk everything so that the partnership itself can keep succeeding. Most of the time, that bond helps both birds live longer, safer lives. But sometimes, it asks one goose to make an impossible choice, and time and again, it chooses its mate. So the next time you see geese flying overhead in that familiar V formation, look a little closer. Somewhere in that formation are partners who have been together for years, sometimes decades. Partners who have weathered storms, raised families, and defended each other against predators far larger than themselves. And if you ever see just one goose standing alone by the water's edge, refusing to leave, you're not looking at a bird that's lost or confused. You're looking at devotion, the kind that chooses loyalty over safety, presence over survival, not because it has to, but because, for this bird, that was never really a choice at all. If this story moved you, subscribe to Birdhearts so you never miss the next incredible survival story hiding in the bird world. And tell me in the comments, did you know geese were capable of loyalty this deep? I'll see you in the next one.